Smith had to be in a very specific mindset when he was translating. He had to humble himself before the Lord constantly because he was only able to translate that record through the gift and power of God. So Joseph had to make sure that he had the right mindset all the time. So one time Joseph came upstairs and he tried to start translating, but he wasn't able to translate a single syllable. Then he had remembered that earlier in the day, him and Emma got into a little bit of an argument. So he had the spirit of contention about him. So he decided to get his mind right, and he went out and prayed somewhere on this land for about an hour. Then he came back inside, he found Emma, he apologized, made everything right with his wife, and then he came back upstairs and he was able to translate. And that just shows how we all have to be aware of what we're thinking and how we treat people, because if we have the spirit of contention with us, we do not have the spirit of God with us. But Joseph, we're very thankful for him and his diligence. He was able to finish the rest of the translation within a couple weeks once they finally got to the Witmer farm. So it was pretty quick, but these rooms are just to represent where Joseph might have stayed, and this desk is just to represent where he might have translated. But after the translation was finished, Joseph was then able to begin the organization of the church, which we'll go back downstairs and tell you that story after you guys look up here for a little bit longer.
Do you know if this is the same layout?
If this is it's not the same layout. It's pretty close. We don't have a lot of their journals. Lucy Mack kept very specific journals describing certain things in her home. So that's why we're able to have the log home as accurate as it can be, but we don't have a lot of the Witmer's journals. We're still trying to acquire. We have some of them, but we're still trying to acquire most of them. But it's about the same size.
Oh, okay. So he passed that other journal.
We're not exactly sure because David Witmer, he kept a journal, but he also kept the printer's manuscript that they used at the Grandin building. That's something that Oliver gave David Witmer, and he didn't get that back until like 2017. So we're not exactly sure who has everything right now. I think it was ours, yes.
So this little tiny stove, you did the whole of the upstairs?
Yeah.
Wow. It was freezing.
How about Grandma's got Granny's, right?
Here. Yes.
No, we think of them as, back then they were littler people, but Joseph wasn't a little person. These chairs are my grandchildren chair.
I have a whole lot of these chairs from my grandmother.
Yeah.
And
They're
these
little,
tables too. The same skinny legs I have and a chest. You know, I could just decorate a whole little cabin with myself.
Yeah, you could.
But if you sit on them, they might break.
Well, I think they were made for little tiny people. For the most part.
I have one 15 minutes away, and I'll walk away. That's awesome. That is so I'm so excited. It's amazing. It's so amazing.
All right, so after the translation was finished, they were able to begin the organization of the church. So on April 6th in 1830, they were able to invite a little bit over 50 people to come in to a home similar to this one and have the very first sacrament meeting. So their sacrament meeting was much like ours today. They would have sang a song and prayed and then blessed and passed the sacrament. But something really cool about that sacrament meeting was that the sacrament was blessed and passed with the correct authority, and it hadn't been that way since Jesus Christ and his apostles were on the earth. So that's pretty amazing for them to all be able to witness. But after the sacrament was passed, several things happened in that meeting. Members who had been baptized before that meeting were given the gift and power of the Holy Ghost. And Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery blessed and ordained each other as first and second elder of the church. Also during that meeting, Joseph received some revelation that can be found in D&C 21, where he was given direction on how he needed to conduct himself as a prophet of the church, how the members needed to represent the church, and how the church needed to keep records about everything that was happening, and that's how we're able to have all these amazing stories and witnesses that we can share with you guys today. But a little while after that meeting, people who wanted to be baptized would then go to Seneca Lake and be baptized there. It was by law, they needed 6 official members of the church in order for that church to be recognized. So 6 people were baptized, and in those people, it was Joseph Smith's parents. So both of his parents were able to be baptized in the correct church of Jesus Christ. So it had to be amazing for Joseph to see, because his parents were with him the entire time. They had all been confused in the very beginning, and they all needed to know which church was the right one, and they were finally able to know. But we're going to fast forward 150 years to 1980, when Spencer W. Kimball gave his general conference talk here in this very home. He did 2 significant things while he was here. He blessed and dedicated this home and the visitor center as holy and sacred ground. And he also left a time capsule that we can now go see in the visitor center. So we'll go there now. It's about 10 minutes away. Not super far.
That's cool. We're just gonna stop right there.
Okay.
Okay. So we are going to more focus to this Christ Plus. This is the time capsule right here that will be open on April 6th of 2030. So not so
fun.
Yeah. So a few things that are in here that we know of. There's probably more that we don't know of, but there's a 1980s edition Book of Mormon. There's talks from that day that they made this. There's pictures from that day. There's church statistics, how many missionaries, how many members, how many temples. How many temples do you guys think there were
Back
Back
then,
then?
in 1980?
well, there were 17 when she and I
Probably
served.
20.
I'd say maybe,
21.
was there 17?
There were 17 up and operating, but 23 announced.
Oh, I remember what they had conference there.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Right here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember President Kimball, they concluded the Saturday morning session of conference. And he got on a plane and flew out here right after. And then,
Yeah.
It was that he did go to the sacred
Am I
grove,
crazy?
and that's where he
Okay.
announced
Oh, yeah.
the restoration.
I was like, there was something. Yeah, so there was 17 50 years ago, and now there's 350 plus. We just got a bunch announced this weekend, which is so exciting. But it's just been super awesome and super cool to see the growth of the church.